Hey guys, so to follow up on my video about how I made my first $18,000 in annual recurring revenue on Substack in my first year, I wanted to dive in to some of the stats and metrics and subscriber growth I'm seeing and why it all matters and why it all sort of fits together, right? So a lot of people, their motivation is to actually maybe make a living on a Substack, create value and actually be paid for it. And so my journey as a blogger transitioning to the newsletter peer recommendation economy is sort of the same thing. I'm freelancing on the side, but during the pandemic, I found that writing on Substack was more the way I wanted to create meaning in this world. And so that's what I did. So I'm just going to share my screen and give you a sense of how my Substack is scaled over 1 year. So one second, I'm just finding the right page. Here we are. So Substack has recently this amazing new stats about your audience, where they are, the demographics. I find that super cool. So my newsletter in its first year is now reaching 150 countries. That's incredible. Which countries exactly? Let me go to all time. Let me go to the world map. So I'm reaching people in the United States, in India, the UK, Canada, Australia. Pretty expected. It also gives me an audience overlap of other newsletters that are reading what I'm reading. So this is one of my main recommenders. So that sort of makes sense that FinTech Blueprint and me have an overlap. So let me go to my subscribers. So when you start to recommend others, they start to recommend you, you start to get writer referrals, it starts to compound. And I just want to show you in 2023 exactly what that means for someone like me who's like writing for really, out of passion, out of intrinsic value, but also who potentially wants to scale it as a side gig or maybe even a primary income. So my internet is being really slow here. Hopefully, eventually it will turn up. And let's get to it. So if I click on paid subscribers, you'll see that like I was nowhere in October, right? I had written for 10 months. I had just 90 subscribers. Fast forward to December, let's say, it was starting to grow a little bit faster. It was up to 127 paid subscribers. So because of the compounding effect of Substack, around January, I've seen the most progress, right? So at the beginning of January, I had 152 paying subscribers. So this is maybe enough to cover my rent and my food. I'm sort of a minimalist. I live on basically nothing over here in Taiwan. And so today it's up to 196, almost 200 paid subscribers. So Substack takes 10% and Stripe takes another 3 to 6%. If I think of it in US dollars converted into my native Canadian dollars, it's pretty good. And if I convert that into Taiwan dollars where I'm living, it's actually starting to get half decent. So this all happens because of recommendations. So this peer recommendation economy, writer referrals and recommendations. Oh, so there's 59 newsletters recommending me. That's pretty considerable. That's up another 10, maybe in the last month. If I look at my writer referrals, I'm actively going around trying to get people to join Substack because they will recommend me as well. And if I can just find a few superstars in that way, that's brilliant. So I don't know if it lists how many writers I got through the writer referral system, but it's a lot. It's a new feature and I'm loving it. So all of these things, so I'm not just creating value for my readers, I'm creating value for Substack and my peers. So I'm recommending people in my niche. And I know that's counterintuitive. Oh, don't recommend your competitors. But actually, if they're writing about AI and I'm writing about AI, chances are we have audience overlap. And I want that targeting, right? I want people interested in what I'm writing about to find me. So this is This isn't just random people coming to my newsletter. These are people interested in what I'm writing about. And it's a win-win. I don't mind that I'm giving people some of my readers. I mean, listen, we're all just sharing the content that we're really interested in. I don't see a conflict of interest. And so it goes from competition to more collaboration. And I actually really like that. Listen, I'm just 1 year into this experiment. I don't expect to, you know, be incredible or be among the top influencers. I'm not a published author. I don't have, degrees in machine learning. I don't have a machine learning book. My AI newsletter is just one of my newsletters, right? I have the creator economy tips and the quantum computing and the stock stuff and robotics and all these other interests I have, space technology, genomics. So my AI newsletter is my flagship newsletter, but it's just part of what I'm doing, right? I'm creating newsletters on LinkedIn, on Beehive as well. I'm not just diversifying with paid subscriptions, but I just want to say that in the long game of paid subscriptions, it's starting to look like a better deal. The more recommendations you get, the more money you're making, right? So I hate the clickbait. Oh, I made 18,000 my first year. But that's what it's coming down to is I had 10,000 in my first year, aiming for 20,000 free readers in my second year, and seeing maybe that that's attainable and that I don't even have to push, right? You reach a point where you're like, oh, okay, this is growing. I can focus on the quality and what I'm really into. I don't need to, worry about my Twitter and worry about my LinkedIn and worry about how am I going to get all these people. No, they're coming to me now. This thing is set up, it's automated, it's something I'm trusting. And through that process, sure, I'm hustling with content. I'm creating more content than probably anyone else on Substack, frankly. I'm curating the news. I'm giving my opinions. And let's just go back to this, okay? Let's think about this. So for this one newsletter, in theory, so it was at 13,200 at the beginning of January. By the end of January, look at that. Look at that. It's going to be 17,500 or 18,000 or whatever. I made for the first month of my life on the newsletter economy, on the peer recommendation economy, I made a living wage. January 2023, this is when it happened. So I just wanted to kind of like build in public and share, like, we don't know what we're doing. We're just playing around with this. We're enjoying the experience. We're optimizing all the tools that we're given. We're writing about what we really are interested in. And it seems to have potential to work out. And it's not just the paid subscriptions, right? Advertisers are approaching me, startups are approaching me for influencer deals, influencer campaigns. I'm getting job offers in my field. Oh, do you want to be our AI evangelist? We're an ad agency working with generative AI for our clients. Oh, really? Oh, let's have a call about that. Oh, you want me to do free PR about your startup? Oh, okay. Well, maybe your startup is worthy. So it's just all this cascades into something meaningful, right? So you start a newsletter and then you don't really know what you're getting into. Maybe you will start a company. Maybe you are a new media startup, or maybe you are just a guy in a foreign country trying to support his family in unusual circumstances, right? Post-pandemic and economic uncertainty, and my marketing job skills have become less relevant. So, we're pivoting, we're evolving, we're enjoying the process, and we're writing, right? And some people, they're podcasting and creating YouTube channels, and it's all good. The point is, I was really skeptical about Substack. I was like, oh my God, I'm putting my heart into this. I was basically full-time on Substack, making hardly any money for practically an entire year. I mean, try living on, 12 or 14,000 a year, like literally. Of course, I have, a few other revenue streams, but nothing really considerable. So here I am, a minimalist, trying to explain to my Taiwanese wife how I'm going to make money in the newsletter economy. Let me tell you, she was pretty skeptical, right? She was pretty nervous, like, are you sure you know what you're doing? And I was like, I love doing this. I think it could lead to something. And so when I basically give all of this money to her at the end of the month, hopefully she'll see like maybe my white husband had some sense doing this, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I want to buy presents for all these relatives here in Taiwan who've been so hospitable, who've been giving us food and hand-me-down furniture. And here I'm living in this place. It's literally the same price as I was paying in Montreal, Canada. And it's this being up house, this 3-story house, like this fixer upper. And it's like this huge echo because I have like barely any furniture here. Maybe now I'll be able to afford to go to IKEA. Anyways, guys, I'm ranting and I'm crying here, but yeah, this is happening to me. It could happen to you. I don't know. Are you doing this for money? I certainly wasn't doing this for money, but if I can do it full time, I will and I am. And listen, if I can make 4,000 in one month here in January, what does that mean for the rest of my year? If this compounding thing works and I get enough free subscribers and I get better at converting them into paid subscribers, maybe I can keep doing what I love. And isn't that the point? Isn't that the point of all of this, right? I've always loved writing. I was, like a failed poet for many years, for decades, actually stumbled into marketing, blogging, made a meager living as a content marketer, freelancing my skills to anyone, any startup I could find in technology and blockchain. My blockchain clients, they died in the crypto winter, like many crypto winters, like many times, writing on Medium for like pennies and, having a WordPress that no one came to and having a LinkedIn newsletter product that was basically phased out because LinkedIn posts became so much more popular on mobile. I mean, listen, I've been through it all. This is like a decade of writing, a decade of suffering, churning out, 3 to 5 posts a day. You guys are crying about writing a post or two a week. I'm doing like every day, I'm curating all this news and trying to keep up to date with the stock market and AI and all these emerging techs topics that I have like no professional training in following, right? It's just a question of reading these papers and reading these marketing, this PR, the constant PR of all this innovation, like how to package that, how to share that in a coherent way. And it's like, we don't know what they're doing or doing. We're just enjoying the ride. Okay. So that's a little bit about my story. I made 18,000 through all my newsletters just with paid subscriptions on Substack. In 2023, maybe I'll make a little bit more. All right, let me stop sharing and end this video because pouring my heart out is kind of embarrassing, but maybe useful to someone out there. If I can make maybe the beginnings of a living on Substack, maybe you can too. And isn't that the point? I don't care how many countries my readers are in or how much money I make. I'm just glad that I keep getting to do this.